Welcome to MMA from London to LA. This is Lord Colin Crandall here with my good mates, Sir Callum Sanderson, and the most respected fight promoter in England, or shall I say England's most respected fight promoter, gentleman Chris Allen. We've got an amazing show for you here. Let's jump right into it. How are you mates doing?
Even better after that intro.
Thank you, Sir Sanderson. Now, gentleman Chris Allen, how are you today?
Oh, brilliant, man. That was brilliant, by the way. That's probably the best introduction to a show I think I've ever heard in my life.
I thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I look quite a bit like a rat or someone that was sleeping outside and snuck into the studio here. So, man, oh, man, can Hawaii get sticky, as Elvis would say. Man, oh, man, I'll tell you. Well, let's talk about the UFC this past main event, and then we can jump on into next week. I don't even have anything in front of me, so I'm counting on the fact that you mates will have maybe information in front of you this time, at least one of you. I hope so. But nevertheless, okay, main card, and I don't even have that. Who started the main card? Was that Miranda Maverick and Jasmine Jusudu?
No, the main card was Barry Otts and Eric Anders.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was an interesting fight. You know, Barrio, I may have told you, gentlemen, or people that are watching know that he is one of these jinx fighters for me. Every time I would bet on him, he would lose. Every time he would bet against him, he would win. And so no matter what I did, I would lose on Barrio. And he started to impress me more as the years have gone by. But nevertheless, I never met him or spoke with him. And I did speak with Eric Anders a few times and do some good interviews with him. A really good guy. So I chose Eric Anders to win that fight, and I will admit I was a bit distracted with something going on during that fight, so I may be a bit wrong on this, but I felt that was really, really close. I felt they could have gone either way, and I felt that I was leaning toward Eric Anders having won that fight. And let's go left to right here. Callum Sanderson, what was your thought? Did I have any merit in my thoughts there, or was I completely off
No, I thought it was a close fight. I do think Eric Anders did win, though. It was a bit of a scrappy fight. If I'm not mistaken, Dana actually gave them performance bonuses for the fight of the night.
Yeah, it did.
So it was a scrappy fight. Not the most technical affair. I think there were times where Eric Anders crowded his work. He could have gone for the kill with strikes, but then decided to go for the single leg, which kind of gave Barry Otts some time to recover. But it was a good fight. I don't think it was like a fight where you'll rave about it to friends, but it was a good fight to kick off the main card. But I think the right result.
Solid fight. Yeah. You mean the wrong result?
No, the right result.
Oh, the right result.
Yeah.
Although it was quite close, you felt.
Yeah, I thought it was a close fight.
Sounds good. Chris Allen, what do you think? England's respected promoter.
I love it, man. I've only done like a couple of small shows, and that's all good. I like it, man. They were good shows, though. Well, the feedback was good, so I'm not going to blow my own horn. That's it, man.
You will be that one day.
Well, Barrio, first of all, I didn't think he'd do as well as he did, to be fair. Not putting him down, but no, he did really well, man. He first round a bit shaky, I thought. You know what I mean, for sure. And then but he come back in the second round. Then he got really technical. You know, like probably just waiting for the right shots. Technically picked him apart, man. And yeah, mate, I thought he really came through there. And he obviously worked in his takedown defense because at one time they said Anders shot him for 10 takedowns, but only landed one. You know what I mean? So that's obviously something he worked on, something he's seen in previous fights. He needs to improve, and obviously worked in his favour today, man. Last night, you know. So yeah, fair play to the guy, and great night for the Canadians overall. You know what I mean? He was one of the many that won that night. So
yeah,
man.
And they even started doing that ole thing that happens in England and like that. And what does that mean? That something like the bull, the person singing that is meaning they're the matador and the other person's the bull. Is that what that's all about, or is there something else with that?
No, I'm
just a football thing. I always heard it football, wasn't it?
Chant. A lot of the chants you hear in the UK or even maybe Canada and Ireland and stuff, they usually stem from like football chants.
Right, right. Now, isn't the funny thing is this is off topic a bit, but a lot of people don't know, especially in the U.S., that wasn't Canada somehow governed by England years ago?
God, I don't know the
Probably,
exact history. I probably should, but we have the same monarch. Obviously, they're a part of the British Empire, but their money has the Queen's head on. Our Queen, well, eventually our King's head. You know what I mean? But
Right.
you know what I mean. So they have this. They have our royalty on their money. So yeah, they're
Yeah.
definitely same as Australia. I think New Zealand do as well. Might be wrong there, but yeah,
And
all
I know,
the,
yeah. Sorry to step on your words, mate, but
but
I
they're
know
not
that.
governed. Both countries have separate governments and separate
Right,
laws.
right,
So
right.
yeah,
I don't mean governed, but yeah. So, but you know what? They refer to their law enforcement agency as the Crown. I think. Did you know that?
no, I didn't know.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Quite interesting.
You're showing us up here, Colin.
I
Because
know. I can't. I know.
we
No,
should know this, and
I
you know
tell
more
you,
about it than we
that's
do.
Hey
it.
mate,
No,
I live 45 minutes away from London, right, my whole life, and I've never even I've been, but I've never really paid attention. It's just been a place down the road. You walk around,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and see a few buildings. It's like, oh, look at that Big Ben. Oh, look at that there, Buckingham Palace. Oh
exactly.
yeah,
Oh
you know what I
yes.
mean. So
Oh
yeah, we definitely
yes.
take it for granted. The ones that
yeah.
live
We
so
do.
close
Yeah,
to
Oh
something so
yes.
historical, and yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
for sure. But also, in all fairness, Canada is right next to where I'm from, right here on the continent of America. So I have that advantage there, having more Canadian involvement here. In fact, in Michigan, where I grew up, we actually had one Canadian television channel that came through to Detroit, Michigan, and surrounding cities because it was so close. And so I remember that. Yeah, CBC. We had
if I could move to
Canadian.
Canada, mate, I would do it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a
If I
beautiful
could.
place.
Mate,
I've
Yep.
everyone
been
says the way of life's better. They even give you money, I think, for becoming American, Canadian citizen, and all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah,
they
it could be.
apparently they look after you over there, you know. And
Yeah,
mate,
without a
if
doubt.
I can get up and leave, it's the first place I go, sure.
oh,
Yeah,
fair
you
enough.
probably wouldn't get as good at fish and chips over there, but you'd
open
be
up your
watching.
open up my own chain, man.
There
You know
we
what I mean?
go. Yeah,
Hey,
and then
hey, one thing I want to add, Colin. Sorry to change, go off the subject. Back to the fight we're talking about.
yeah.
Do you think Eric Anders will get cut from the UFC now? Because he lost fourth? Was it 1-4, 1-3 at the
You
moment?
know
His last
though, but
four.
I'm telling you, several of these fights, I felt he won. He's on. You know, this is what I. First of all, I don't think he'll be cut. I hope he won't. He may be, but this is one thing I've noticed. These judges always seem to have an A side. And I think I was speaking with you guys about it on several episodes back that it's starting to become quite obvious that these judges are not being objective, but are giving planned results. Like to me, it seems like where there's an A side fighter, even if he loses, the judges have him the winner. That's if a fighter is super popular or more popular, the fighter that has a better record. And this is we get an ambulance there. That's always a lot of fun. There we go. But then in Canada, it seems like, of course, they were going to have the Canadian win if it was close. It's really getting to be quite predictable, to be honest with you. But no, Eric Anders has been one of those fighters that the judges have been against. And you know what's the sad thing is, imagine if you're that fighter who you lose a fight, and then the next fight, the judges think, well, this other guy's got a better record than you. And then the judge votes against you in the next fight. So then your record is even less sterling, and then we've lost. There we go, gentlemen. Chris Allen, you jumped out and back in. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hello.
Chris Allen. Hello there, mate. Yeah. Now
What
remember,
UFC fight was called The Gentleman? Who was that? There was a UFC fight called The Gentleman.
you know what? There wasn't, but it
Oh.
was the pro wrestler. There was
It was,
gentleman
yeah, it was the pro
Chris
wrestler, wasn't it?
Adams. Yes,
Yeah.
famous guy. He died
Was that
young.
what it was? Was it?
I think he was in his 40s. He was a unique guy. He most of the time played the heel.
Didn't he
And
have like his moustache twisted up and all that as well?
No.
That's
That
amazing.
was that was a guy. I think that was like Lord Steve. That was Lord Stephen Regal, I think, and he was another Englishman.
I know,
But
yeah, I know.
But yeah, gentleman Chris
Yeah.
Adam was an Englishman wrestling in the South part of this country, which is where they have where they have the thick accents, and so
Yeah,
it's
man,
quite
I love it.
interesting.
Love
Yeah,
Scouse.
having an
You love them though.
Englishman
They're
in
the
there.
best people in the world.
Yes, and
But what else?
but yeah,
But
he
I know what you mean, man.
he died young, but he was a kind of an interesting guy. You should look at some YouTube interviews with him. Quite a character, gentleman, Chris Adams. But anyway, so yeah, I hope
I
they
think
don't
it was a
come. Anyway,
nickname I had on UFC Game, actually, to be fair. It might have been. But I had maybe had Chris Allen, Chris the Gentleman Allen as my UFC name on the old game.
it should be. It should be.
On the game,
I think you use that, and then Sir Callum Sanderson. I think it would be great. I think we all have to adopt these things, and probably you guys get more flack there than I get here, but here they'd probably be wondering, did you really earn that title? I'd be like, yeah, exactly. I've been over here my whole life, and I'm doing MMA commentary, but I've been knighted somehow. You never know. And Lord, that's even the higher honor. Sorry to have put myself above you, Callum, there, but you can be Lord and I'll be Sir in the next episode.
I'll just stay in the steerage. Don't worry.
There we go.
I'll stay in the
You'll always be England's most respected promoter.
Oh, the Jester. That's cool. Moving on. So what was the next fight again? Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
What was the second? Second fight on the main card would have been what?
Dan Ige versus Nate. I'm not going to say his surname. Landwehr.
Yeah. Now Landwehr is known as the Train, but I refer to him as the Land Shark because to me, Landwehr and Land Shark was a funny comedy character in the Saturday Night Live show in the United States here many years ago. So you have to be Generation X or older to remember it. But anyway, this was a tough match going into it. I selected Dan Ige, who was favored, but a lot of people were finding value in Nate Landwehr. He had been looking very good as of late. His submissions are good. He's a rugged, tough guy with a good chin. He's a high-pressure fighter. His cardio is great. He's confident. He comes on strong in the end, but I kind of felt that he was jumping up to a bit of a different level with Dan Ige. Dan Ige is getting great training over at Extreme Couture with Eric Nixick and the gang over there who are just really putting together a lot of great wins. And they've got so many great fighters. Iron sharpens iron, as we've always said. So I did go with Dan Ige in that fight, but I did have some fear because Landwehr was tough. Ige just managed to stop the takedowns. He managed to keep the range. That's what I had said he had to do. Landwehr is great when he can bring dirty boxing in and when he can not allow a person to get any breathing room and any space. And with the power and accuracy and skill and poise and having fought a higher level of competition, Ige was able to keep the fight at his distance and range and win clearly. So let's go in reverse order this time. Gentleman Chris Allen, what was your take on that matchup?
What I love about Dan Ige also, it shows how well the Contender Series had picked out people because he's one of the early days, if not, I don't know how early it was. I know it was like 2018, 17, 18.
I think so.
I mean, when did the Contender Series start?
Right around then, I think. Right about that, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yes, he's from those early days of the Contender Series, and I mean, he's had like what 12, 13 fights in the UFC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
I would say.
Yeah, man, and the performance he put on against that guy last night just showed he still belonged to be in there, and it really proved that he still there's still life in him, you know. And I'm not saying he's old, but you got this new breed coming through, and they're getting tested by these people, and I think he did really well, mate. You know what I mean against the guy.
Absolutely.
Fighting a guy who's coming off like what 3 or 4 wins in a row. That's some momentum he's got going in against as well. And to take on a tough fight like that when you're already like, I know you've just won literally a couple in a row. But if you want to keep, get that win streak going, you've got to beat another tough guy. So it was a good test for him, and definitely should move him up the ladder for sure.
Yes, agreed. Now, Callum Sanderson.
Sorry, mate. What I was going to say is though, and also his opponent wasn't he like fighting in Russia and all sorts of things and becoming a champion over there? So he's probably fought some like high level people.
In M1, I think. Yes, indeed. Very true, Chris. Callum, I know you had opened several new branches of your Callum Sanderson Fish and Chips restaurant chains last night, so quite hectic for you. But I know you got a chance to watch that fight in between the action. What was your take on things?
Yeah, again, good fight. I think Dan Ige did really well. I actually went into a fight thinking Nate was going to win. I thought he was going to make it a dirty fight. I won't use the word dirty. I say ugly fight.
Right, that's perfect.
I don't want people to misconstrue him for a dirty fight. It's not a dirty fight, but make it an ugly fight. And I thought that would have paved the way for him to get a victory. But I think Dan Ige, he showed his technical ability in this fight and was just able to show the levels there. And I think Nate will still become a good fighter and still continue to do what he's doing. But Ige showed the levels yesterday, and he put on a really good performance, in my opinion.
Yes, indeed. No controversy there.
No, definitely.
Yep. And so next up was which fight?
Malot versus Fujit.
All right. So I like that because you were saying on the one we were saying, at least in a sports bar with my friends that were watching, my mates were saying the man was going to hit him with the mallet. The guy's hit so hard he's got a mallet in both hands, and he was a favorite in Canada. He was the A side, but the other guy was saying, "What? Fuck it, fuck it. I'm here anyway. I'm just gonna throw down. I don't care what happens, right?" And so I was telling one of my mates that had never watched him fight before how good Malott was, and then by the end of the round, I had to say, "Well, he's being careful. He looks a bit uncomfortable. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but trust me, this kid is really good." But he's just being, I don't know, he's in front of his countrymen, and he's having to be quite careful. He doesn't want to make a mistake, but he's really good, I'm telling you. And then in the next round, right away, he backed up my faith in him right away. And it's almost like he came out of that corner, with good coaching. It's almost like the coaching have said, "Okay, you looked nervous out there. You didn't want to make a mistake. You were cautious. Did you get that out of your system? Yes. Good. Go out there and fight, damn it." And he went out there and it was like bang, boom, done. And he finished that with precision, surgical precision. He punched him with the first shot right into that's one of the things you guys probably know about striking is one of the things that make boxers so good is they can pretty much predict where your head's going to go based on the first punch they threw, whether they hit it, land or not. And then they can come in precision when you're moving. And that's exactly what Malott did. The first shot hit somewhat hard, and the follow-up was right there on the lower jaw. And just, and then he went down, jumped in with an arm-in guillotine, which is less common than the guillotine without the arm in. Didn't really have much of a position. Ended up going to mount, which puts more pressure on the choke, but then he switched to arms. Very slick jiu-jitsu, and got the tap right away. So I've been impressed with him for a good while. He's a big, strong guy for 170. He just looks like he's a good athlete. He's very strong. He's got a very good chin. And he just seems like a really well-trained, tough guy. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you guys get a feel for fighters once in a while that you just say, "Man, this is going to be a special fighter," because they've just got all the components. But yeah, this guy's kind of like the Canadian Terminator. So whereas I've not been very high on Andre Barrio from the beginning, and still not, because I still felt he lost that fight against Anders, but I'm quite high on Malott. I think that Malott is the real deal, and I think other up and coming contenders may want to avoid him if asked. Sir Callum Sanderson, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good performance. I think you tend to see someone's power and strength when it comes to jiu-jitsu on how they tap someone out. You get two types of taps. You get the tap where you're like, "I've been trapped. I'm not going to get out of this. I tap." Or you get the tap where the person feels as though they are in a horrible situation. Like that was a panic tap.
Yeah.
That wasn't a tap of, "I've been caught. I'm not going to get out of this." That was a, "Get him off me now. He is killing me here."
Yeah.
And that shows the strength of him. And as you said, the slickness to transition in the way he moved from one arm to the other, the arm in, the arm out, and then it was very smooth. And as soon as he went, he mounted him with the guillotine. It was a wrap. And he just showed his calmness and his poise. And throughout the whole week, I think he's kind of been the unsung hero. not the biggest
Indeed.
of names, but obviously at home in Canada, wanted to put on a show. Spoke very well throughout the week, showed his confidence throughout the week. And then he went in and he delivered. He did what he had to do, and I think he made it look pretty easy, to be honest. And we all know the UFC is always looking for a new star in a new place in the world. And obviously over here we've got Aspinall, we've got Leon Edwards, we've got Darren Till when he comes back. So we've got a few here. Paddy, obviously. Canada hasn't really had anyone for a little while now.
That's right.
You might start to think they might start to lean on him and go into that market a bit more, and he can be one of the mainstays when they next go to Canada as well.
Yeah, I really think so. I know that gentleman Chris Allen is doing something involving his hand being on the camera. There, we've lost gentleman Chris Allen again, but that's all right. He'll be back. But now I'll tell you, Callum. Do you know which Canadian police agency is abbreviated the RCMP?
No idea.
It's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They're on horseback, and they're quite a prominent police agency in Canada.
Never heard of them.
Yep, RCMP. Right, so now you know that, and then you also know, like, they like to say AEH at the end of a lot of their statements. Like they'll say, man, that hockey game was a pretty amazing close match, eh?
So I've never known that. That happens in the UK in some regions, not in all, but in some regions it does.
Right, or the fight, they would say, man, it looked like both the main and the co-main event were less competitive than we were all hoping, eh? Yeah, but yeah, that's one of the things. That's how you know. That's how you know a Canadian. And then instead of saying sorry, the word sorry, they say sorry.
We say it like that here as well.
You say sorry also?
Yeah, we say sorry. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, but but they're very friendly.
I feel like Canada's like it's a transition from the UK to. Oh, have we lost?
Well, his device is overheating. That's what happened. Sorry about that.
It feels like Canada's the transition from the UK to America, or vice versa, from America to UK.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. Let's get back in there, right? All right, here.
We see.
Yeah, but yeah, so definitely quite interesting in Canada. But right now, all three of us are under this abominable leadership. I put out a very funny post with both the Canadian leader and our leader on Twitter yesterday. You'll have to check it out, Callum, or I'll tell you maybe as soon as we jump off this. But
yeah, I'll check it out.
Yes. So nevertheless, Mike Malott, quite a lot of potential, tough guy. And like I said, he's got a mallet. Both are you guys don't even say a mallet. No, you'll say a mallet, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we say a mallet. Yeah.
Yep. One interesting thing is you guys will say a fillet instead of a fillet.
And, we'd say a fillet of fish.
And it's funny because I was speaking to another British guy, and I said it seems like there are several French words that you guys will mispronounce. Yeah. And then he said, "Screw the French." I don't know. So I don't know if that's England's feeling or not. But
we're terrible when it comes to pronunciation. The stuff we are really bad.
Yep, a fillet, because we say here a fillet it should be a fillet of fish, but that's all right. That's okay. But nevertheless, mate, which was the next fight? Was it the co-main?
The next fight was the co-main. Charles
was.
Bronx Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. And
yes.
Great fight while it lasted.
Yeah, it was. I have interviewed Beneil several times. I like Beneil. He's been deprived of a title shot several times. He was winning that fight until he wasn't. Yeah. Now you have some jackasses posting, was he really that good or this or that or whatever, which is a shame because he was really that good. He was a great fighter. He was winning that fight. I mean, here's what I would say. Beneil's not the type of guy that would get nervous because of the bright lights. He's a very composed person, a religious man, a very good man. Charles is very determined. And a lot of these fighters that are really, really good, when they come off a loss, it really eats at them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like there's nothing more, excuse me, that they want in their life is to win their next fight, to
Yeah.
take that taste out of their mouth and the fans' mouths, as it were. So he was quite motivated. Both of them very good men, a lot of respect for each other. So here's what I would say. Charles may have been a bit quicker. I think not everyone, but we all felt, I think, that Beneil hit harder with one punch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Charles was perhaps a bit quicker and had a bit greater variety of punches.
Yeah.
Beneil was the better wrestler, and their jiu-jitsu was about even. And
Yeah.
so if it was going to go down for Charles like that with a quicker finish, it was going to be on strikes.
Yeah.
The only other thing I can think that I saw some people say is Charles did have a bit of a higher level of competition, did fight some of the higher ranked guys over the years than Beneil. Nevertheless, though, I think that we don't have to speculate on anything except for Beneil was winning the fight, got caught, and it may have been stopped a little bit early, maybe not. I mean, he was taking punches, but they weren't punches with a lot of leverage. But he got caught. Charles looked really good. Charles was very motivated. I think Beneil can come back, and I think we all wanted it to be a bit more competitive, but yeah, Beneil was winning that fight. Would have loved to have seen it go to the next round, and it didn't. Gentlemen, Chris Allen is back. We'll let you get situated, and then we'll throw it to Sir Callum Sanderson. I know I wasn't necessarily going to say Sir and Gentlemen this whole damn time, so maybe next time I'll just do the intro with that. But nevertheless, Sir Callum of Sanderson. Next, what is your thought on that fight?
So I may be a little biased because Oliveira is my favorite lightweight fighter, but I went into the fight thinking that he was actually going to lose. I thought Dariush was kind of hitting that stride where he just becomes undeniable until he gets a title shot, and then whatever happens from there happens from there. Plus, I also looked at Charles's few fights where he would get caught by southpaws. Makachev caught him and then followed him down and finished him. I thought something similar might happen with Dariush. However, Oliveira just showed once again why he's such a special fighter. And I think this throws up a lot of questions about his legacy. I'm talking about Charles here, his legacy, what he could potentially do in the future going forward. I myself slept on him. I think a lot of the fan base and a lot of MMA fans slept on Charles as well. But I don't want this to take away from what Dariush is and what he's done in the sport either. Dariush is a brilliant fighter. And there's a reason why many other people didn't want to fight Dariush and why it was only Charles that took on the challenge, because they knew how tough Dariush was, and it didn't come with a lot of upside for Poirier or Gaethje. I know him and Gaethje got on well, but for Poirier especially, because if Poirier beats him, he's going to have to fight a very hard fight to beat him, which with very little reward. If he loses to him, he loses his spot in the rankings, etc., and goes down a peg or two. I thought it was a great fight while it lasted, and the finish I thought it was a great finish. I thought it was a good stoppage as well, because Beneil seemed very shaky even after
That's
the
true.
stoppage.
I'm recalling that now. Yeah, indeed.
I thought it was a good stoppage.
Gotcha.
Not the result I expected, but I think he's got to be next for a title shot. Before Chris does, I've got a question for both of you. I want to know your feelings on this. Bit of a controversial one, but I'll go with it. Do you think Charles Oliveira has a better resume than Khabib?
I did see someone post that. You want to jump in on that first, gentlemen? Chris Allen?
100%, man. I'm not, mate. I'll let you answer first, then I'll go into talking about the fight.
Okay. Yes, I think so. I think he does. I mean, the loss to Makachev and a convincing quick loss is the only thing that takes away some of the complete portrait of all those wins and of his title reign and several, but otherwise, yes, yeah. He fought all the guys now. Dariush, Gaethje, Poirier, several other guys that I'm forgetting now. Yeah, I think he does have the better running resume. It's just a hiccup. Without the loss against Islam, I think probably he would be embraced maybe as the lightweight GOAT. But sometimes all it takes is one. Gentlemen, Chris Allen, I know you were speaking with several of your fighters in Australia, trying to tell your fighters in upcoming fights to lay off the Vegemite sandwiches over in Australia. And so I know you had to go briefly to handle that. But what is your thought on Callum's question?
It's a hard one, to be fair. And I was thinking, yes, as in the people he's fought. But then as you were talking, I was thinking, when in the earlier days of the UFC, it didn't go as well for him. Do you know what I mean? You see what I mean?
Right.
Khabib still won. Right. I believe if Khabib stayed, then he would have been the greatest of all time. He could have beaten everyone. I don't think anyone would beat him, but you'll never know. Do you know what I mean? So, it's just who Oliveira's fought. He's been around for a long time, man. He's 22 and 9 in the UFC, right? And people forget he's finished 20 of them wins. Yep. Finished. You know what I mean? It's like, and the people he's fought, you got to think, well, he's finished 20 of them. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. We all remember when he went on that streak. After he came away, if there's losing, then he just started beating everyone out of nowhere. Like a whole new light fired up in his arse. He was like, right, I'm off and destroyed everyone. Then Islam come along, and I think I'd like to see that fight again. He might take it, like after seeing what Volkanovski was able to do as a smaller man, let's say, not as in size but in height. He's thinking, well, what I should be able to do something like that then. But again, it is the classic. He is old. He is a veteran. He's been in the game. He's been in the UFC for a long time. Been in the game, I'm sure, for 20 plus years. You know what I mean? So it all does take its toll of energy, but he seems to be proving people wrong. Like to knock him out as he did. Yeah. Imagine fighting a guy who you can't go to the floor with and you can't stand with. I know that's the old cliche saying, but he is legit example of that. You know what I mean? Like jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter how old you get with jiu-jitsu. With jiu-jitsu, you get more experience. You don't get more old.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Indeed.
So, but striking's different because your chin weakens and stuff. I get that, But so he's still going to be a force to reckon with, and he's only 33 years old. If anything, he's if not like peaking at his prime, like pushing towards the second half. Tail end of his prime, he's not done yet. You can see this guy fight for another 4 years in the UFC easily.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So, man, he's an interesting one to watch. It's almost like a science project, watching how it all happens. And so, it's I'm gutted for Dariush. He's on a good win streak as well, but that was that fight, wasn't it? He was back, and I thought Dariush would have taken that, and Charles would have taken his gloves off. You know what I mean? But
here we
are.
Yep. Indeed. Callum, what's your answer to your own question?
Yeah, I think he does have a better CV than Khabib. I know that opens up a second question on who's the GOAT out of the two, and I think that's a longer debate for a different show. But I think Oliveira's CV is phenomenal, and his fights and his wins have actually aged really well. Whereas if you look at Khabib's, a lot of his wins haven't really aged very well. The opponents haven't aged very well. Poirier's still doing his thing. Gaethje's still doing his thing. I know Ferguson's not really kicked on, but we'll see what he does against Bobby Green. I expect Dariush to bounce back from this. So, I mean, Oliveira's CV, I think, and even look, I think a lot of people forget that he was fighting at featherweight. It's when he moved up to lightweight and filled out in his frame and became more comfortable. That's when we saw Charles 2.0.
Indeed.
I think that's a big conversation to have between him and Khabib. It's a fight I'd love to have seen it.
Yep, indeed.
Still don't think it's impossible, but I'd love to see it.
Me too. And to interpret for the United States fans, the CV would be the resume over here.
Yes, sorry.
And you guys use CV for curriculum vitae.
Yeah.
Right? Indeed, yes. Here,
that was very well said in the Queen's English, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I've got that.
Sir,
English.
there you go. I've been upgraded. Move over, Callum.
Yeah.
Yes, now you can. Yes, Sir Chris Allen. We've upgraded you now. And but yes, indeed. Thank you so much. In any case, so you know what I'm thinking? Looking at how ragged I look right here with these glasses on, I look like kind of a bit like a European football coach. I feel with these glasses and looking kind of ridiculous with an unshaven and a beard and a crappy hat. I feel like I mean, I could blend in with the English Premier League coaches. There he is, Coach Colin Crandall, looking raggedy as usual. Got the team off to a good start on the pitch. How's that? There you go. Right?
Bad, to be fair.
Thank you. Maybe I'll have to work on that. Anyway, so next we have the main event of the evening. We are live, as Bruce Buffer would say, or it's time. What he used to say. Anyway, let's go. Let's go on this. Let's start out in the counterclockwise order. The recently knighted Sir, formerly gentleman Chris Allen, England's most respected promoter. What's your feeling on that main event? How did it unfold as opposed to what you had expected?
Exactly what I expected. That's the thing. It's Amanda Nunes, man. I don't need to say too much more about it. She's had a couple of hiccups, or just one major one, really, didn't she? And then since then, it's just been. I'm not worried anymore. And do you know what? Fair play to her. I thought she'd retire after this fight, win or lose, because there's no one really left to fight. No disrespect to anyone, apart from the trilogy, maybe with Juliana. But I don't think there's a trilogy there, to be honest with you. I think after the last fight, I think Amanda pretty much showed that.
The first one
there's
was a fluke.
There's no point doing this a third time.
No.
So Amanda's got a different lifestyle, hasn't she? You know what I mean? I'm sure she's got plenty of money. So enjoy it, retire. You can probably sit around now, chilling for the next 70 years of your life.
That's it.
So man, why not? And I just think her opponent was what's her name? I've forgotten her name.
Aldana.
Aldama. I just think she was a bit gun shy, which she would be against Amanda Nunes. But Juliana Pena showed that you don't have to be gun shy. But I think she was more worried about the takedowns from Amanda Nunes. And so if you're worried about takedowns from Amanda Nunes, that's the least thing you should be worried about.
Yeah,
there's bombs she throws at you, mate, as well. So I think it was a bit thrown together. She was very capable of beating Nunes, but again, who else can Nunes fight? You're going to have people who are like 10th ranked and beating number 7, and they're going to get a title shot. That's the way it's going to go.
Right.
And it's a shame we'll never see the trilogy with Shevchenko either. Obviously, she lost anyway. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter now. But I mean, we never got to see that. We never get to see the Juliana.
Yeah. Sorry to step on.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, man, it's But fair play for Aldana. She probably stepped up when a lot of people said no. She was on a 2-fight win streak as well. So that nowadays, with the division as it is, that must give you a title shot being on a 2-fight win streak, So good luck to her. Good luck to her, mate. And it leaves the title open. That makes it maybe a little bit more interesting, but maybe a bit less exciting. We'll see.
Indeed. Spot on analysis, gentlemen, Sir Chris Allen.
It's almost like when Anderson Silva left the middleweight division, we were like, what's going to happen now?
That's right.
Like, who's going to be this legit person at the top of the game? Like, just picking everyone up. Do we like seeing that, or do we like seeing titles change? That's a whole different conversation.
It really depends what your preference is. Sir Callum Sanderson, what do you think?
Firstly, Chris, I think you summed that all up brilliantly. I went against the grain. I actually thought Aldana was going to win because I felt as though Amanda was 1 foot out, and I thought we were just going to see another shock almost because. From the outside looking in, you could tell that Amanda, in her mind, thought, I've more or less achieved everything. And she has. She's more or less achieved everything. What else is left? And not that I thought that she'd be lacking motivation, but I thought maybe she'd be lacking that hunger to go out there and really put herself in the fire to get a win, which I thought she'd have to do. I think she shut down Aldana from pretty early. I think she set the tone really well, and that was the makings of making the fight really easy for her. And I thought she made it look easy. Aldana's a good fighter, but Aldana she went into a shell almost. I don't think she recovered either. And Amanda, she leaves on top. And how many fighters can say they leave on top, double champion, undisputed in both weight categories, cleaned out divisions, nothing but respect for her. I wish her nothing but the best. I'm intrigued to see how the UFC do sort of make the next fight for the belt, because there's no one really as a standout who says, I deserve a title shot, I deserve the belt. But again, that's for Dana and the guys to decide. But nothing but respect for Nunes. A fantastic performance. And it's almost a perfect ending because she leaves you wanting more. We want the Pena trilogy. We want the trilogy with Shevchenko. But ultimately, a fighter just sticks around. They continue fighting until it's no more. She's taken the decision to step away at the top of her game. Kudos to her, and all the best in retirement.
She cuts a lot of weight as well, man, doesn't she? She
Yeah,
does
she
cut a
does,
lot of weight.
yeah.
It's the last.
Yes.
She's probably fed up with doing all that as well, man.
Yeah,
Because you
as
think,
well.
imagine if you have millions and millions in your bank account, and you're thinking like, I know I love this sport, but what am I doing?
Yeah.
I've got a family.
Yes.
I've got millions in the bank. I should just sit up and chill. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
Now, as a retired woman, how do you think she'll look if she was walking around at around 13 or 14 stone? What do you think?
imagine her at 14
Yeah.
stone. That's a big girl. That'd be big.
That
She's
would be-
tall,
I mean-
though, isn't she? I think she'll
Yeah,
carry
true.
it fine because she's tall and she's got quite wide shoulders. I think she'll
Yes.
be fine.
Yeah, I mean, she'd be able
so.
to eat as many fish and chips meals with as many of the tartar sauce. As,
I don't think she'll ever be. I don't think she'll ever be overweight. She'll just be.
Nah.
You know,
Probably not. Yeah, you're
Do you
probably
think
right.
do you think there's a chance she'll do a boxing match?
maybe who against who?
They should put her against Cyborg. That would be it. The rematch in boxing for a lot of money. We've just hit
Cyborg's
on-
not stupid enough to do that.
No,
I
probably
actually
not.
think-
Well, she might be.
The money's right.
She's wanted to get her hands back on her for a while.
Yeah, let Nunes fight Jake Paul. I'd love to see her punch him in the face.
Maybe
How about-
maybe Clarissa Shields.
There we
Yeah.
go. Clarissa's a big girl, though. That Nunes would probably have to practice a little bit. But yeah, Clarissa would love to do that in a boxing match. But I think Clarissa would beat the brakes off of Nunes. But you never know. We'd have to see. I'll tell you this. I think that you know what they might want to do. It might annoy about a bunch of people. But what would you think of for the vacant bantamweight title, the rematch, Holly Holm and Misha Tate from like 8 years ago?
Nah, they won't bring Misha Tate back. Misha Tate's much in her day, but nah, she's not title contention now. She'll get the title. Even if she wins the title, she'll lose it straight away.
I agree, but I tell you what, I've seen stranger things in the UFC. They know that both girls have been somewhat of the face of the UFC in their day. And I just, well, who knows? I mean, it's, either that or maybe Holly versus Juliana Pena. I mean,
Well, that'd be a good fight.
Yeah,
I think that's the route they go down.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be Aldana. Aldana, to her credit, fought quite a good defensive fight, but it looks like that's all she had.
Yeah.
Holly Holm would pick her apart. She fought like that.
Yeah, she had. I've never actually seen Aldana fight like that. She had literally the palms of her hands on her eyes.
Yeah.
And she looked quite thin too. Her arms looked quite skinny. I don't know what the deal was there.
I bet she got paid though, mate. I bet she got paid.
That's what
fight.
she did get. Yes,
It's a tough weight.
I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not saying they paid her just to fight her for the sake of it. I know she went in there for the win. I'm not making that assumption at all. I'm just saying I reckon they had to offer her some good money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she had she was fighting. She was using the strategy that I would have used if I was fighting Francis Ngannou. Have your arms up, your hands on your eye, and your arm completely up like that. And then Francis would have hit one of my arms and knocked my fist through my eye and out the back of my head. I would have regretted that strategy, but nevertheless, perhaps I would have lasted more than 8 seconds. But
I think Amanda could. I really thought Amanda though could literally could have done it and finished her at any time. But in the back of the head's always that loss, isn't it? To when she lost to Juliana Pena, she doesn't want to go out like that. So she was she fought technically, which is fine. That's it's a sport. It's not a brawl to the death. So
that it isn't.
No, and it wasn't a boring fight, not at all. You know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, that's a good way to end your legacy. And look, someone big will come to the UFC. There'll be a new big name in the UFC who'll win the title and beat everyone, and then they'll bring her back for the super match in a few years' time, man. It's all and she'll earn an extra $3 or $4 million. Happy days. Go back home.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree, and I'll tell you what, I could see that.
Or do an Ultimate Fighter or something. You know what I mean?
I could see it in 2025 or maybe late next year. That they have a girl come in, she's a new champ, she looks amazing, winning a couple matches, and then Amanda says, "Well, wait a second, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm the champ," and comes back and does that. But yeah, it will be. Maybe they'll bring Katie Taylor into MMA. What do you think? That would be interesting, isn't it? How much does she weigh? She's normally 160 pounds? No,
I think she's usually 135.
Oh wow!
I think Clarissa Shields is the one who fights around 155.
Yes, she does. She does. I remember. Yeah, I interviewed Clarissa Shields about 4 years ago at a UFC event, and I got a great quote out of her because she was saying if she fought MMA, it could be 145 or 155, and I said when it came time for my question, I said I heard you mention the weights 145 and 155. I said how realistic would 145 pounds be for you? And she said, well, in all honesty, she said, I'd have to cut off an ass cheek. She said, I'll give up, chicken. I'll give up whatever, dining out, Chinese food, whatever, dessert. And she goes, but I'm not going to give up an ass cheek. So she said, we could do it at 155. So that was then it was a scrum style interview. We were all semicircle around her before the pandemic.
Cool, man.
Oh, Colin, you there?
All right. There we go. She had her mink coat on and looked quite good. It was a white mink coat. But anyway. All right. Well, listen, mates, I don't know. I think, should we? I don't think we've got the time or to go over anything unless you wanted to mention the main event for next Saturday. I don't even know what it is.
We could do the main and co. So
yeah.
The co-main event is Sarukian versus Joaquim Silva at lightweight.
Yeah, and I see the odds minus 1,000 for Sarukian.
Yeah.
Then it makes you wonder almost why the fight was even made. But I haven't had a chance to study Joaquin Silva, but as it looks like a crush fight in pro wrestling where one goes in there and as Conor McGregor would say, I'll batter him. I'll batter him. Sarukian looks to be going in there and battering Joaquin Silva. What do you think, Callum?
Yeah, I don't see Joaquim Silva. I don't know much about Joaquim Silva, but Sarukian is an absolute killer of a fighter.
Yeah,
I reckon he'll win that.
I mean, he might as well be fighting Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
it'd be just as hard. I shouldn't say that because if I run into Joaquim Silva, he's entitled to take a free shot at me there. But as you know, when you're wearing glasses, no one should hit you, especially since I'm a prominent European football coach now. Of course, no one's able to take a shot at me. Nevertheless, we've lost gentleman Chris Allen. He's had to dip, as they say. That's what they say out here now. He had to dip. Chris, phone keeps overheating, man. I'm going to leave. Sorry, lads. Speak to you later, right? Well, that was it. Gentleman Chris Allen signing out. England's most prominent fight promoter and
one and only,
and fish and chips connoisseur. Callum Sanderson, we've already discussed the co-main. What would be the main event of the Saturday card coming up?
Vettori versus Cannonier.
Very interesting. That's a good fight. I'll let you start out with that one.
I think Cannonier. Vettori seems to have fallen in love with striking recently, which if you do that at Cannonier, you could really leave yourself open for some horrible shots, and his ground and pound is some of the nastiest in that division. I think Cannonier wins this. I think he's got a point to prove, and I think he knows a win or two in this division again could get him that title fight against Izzy, especially if they're dominant and good wins. So I think he goes for it, and I think he gets the stoppage.
I like that. You know what I was thinking? Izzy, that might be a proper nickname for you. Could you see it? Callum Izzy Sanderson. What do you think?
Wish I could fight like Izzy. Oh, that'd be amazing.
I know. I don't know what made me think of that. I had to make you laugh. But yeah, I know. He's brilliant. A great player. I can be Izzy. Colin Izzy Crandall. Man, that's amazing. In fact, that's what I would use if I was going to coach in the European League. Coach Colin Izzy Crandall. Man, it'd be freaking awesome. I'm looking for a team. I think I'd like to coach Manchester United.
No. We're Liverpool here. We're Liverpool here.
Okay, you got it. Liverpool then. Well, but then you probably like your coach, or might I be better?
Yeah, no. We like our coach. Chris is Liverpool as well. So we'll make you assistant manager, and then when our coach leaves, then you take over the reins.
Yes, indeed. That will be it. And I'll have to make sure not to shave and to look quite as much like a rat as I can. Or I was thinking of something else. I'm like a bum out there on the streets there, a hobo. They used to say. I have a stick with a bag at the end of it. All right, mate. Someone's got a shilling here for me, mate. You got a piece of fish? Oh, crap. Anyway, okay, so the main event then, yeah, I will jump on that. I like Jared Cannonier too.
Yes,
He's a cool dude. I mean, what do you call him? The Italian tough guy. He's a unique guy. I haven't had any bad experiences with either of them, but sometimes, I mean, I think Cannonier is a fair bit older than I think Vittori may have just turned 30 or about to.
Yeah,
And
Vittori's still young.
yeah, Cannonier 35. I like Cannonier. He's with this. He's got this kind of spiritual thing, and then I know he likes the crystals, and he has that energy moving stuff that he does, and he's a unique dude. And but yeah, I think this is going to be his fight. I tell you what, both men are very strong. Both guys are a bit shorter and thicker.
Yeah.
I think Jared is slightly taller. But yeah, I think this is Jared's fight. Also, Jared, if he's going to continue, being up there at his age, he can't afford a loss. At Vittori's age, he can afford a loss. Not that he wants one, but it's going to be a good fight. You have Vittori training out of the old former Shoot to Box, now King's MMA. There with Beneil Dariush and Giga Chikadze and all kinds of tough guys under Rafael Cordero. And I don't know where Cannonier trains. Do you know though that the Charles Oliveira, having trained at Chute Box, the fight against Beneil Dariush actually was like Chute Box against Chute Box, because Beneil's coach at King's MMA was the longtime assistant to the head coach at Chute Box.
Yeah,
so
you saw the love and respect they had for each other before and after as well.
Absolutely, because it was really like that. They both emanated from the Chute Box team from many years ago with Master Hujimar Federigo and Master Rafael Cordero still coaching. Yeah, but I think that should be Kenner. I think it should be a fun, interesting matchup as well. And we should have you in a Twitter Spaces maybe somewhere during the week as we break that fight down more.
Happen.
Yeah, I like that. I know the hours are a bit different. Right now, it's just about 10 o'clock at night. Is that right?
Yeah, literally about 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll work that out, mate. But nevertheless, any final thoughts on this past week or anything else? Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I'd say it's a decent card. Delivered about to expectation. And it starts the cycle now of a lot of fights and a lot of weeks for the UFC. So let's start how we mean to go on. And congratulations again to Amanda on a fantastic career, and go and enjoy retirement. And if you can get any money by taking another fight, go for it as well.
Without a doubt, I agree. Huge respect for her. Aldana gave it a shot. She got paid. A lot of people can criticize, but it seems like when you open up, like Juliana Pena did in the first fight, she caught her, though a lot of evidence of Amanda being subpar that night. And then when Juliana opened up in the second fight, she literally got the brakes beaten off her everywhere she went. And Juliana did show her toughness and grit and ruggedness to take that. But I think in this case, the challenger, Irene Aldana, did not take nearly as much punishment as Juliana. But unfortunately, that can't be the goal. But nevertheless, respect to her anyway. But Amanda Nunes, a great champion, greatest female MMA fighter in history. And we'll see where she goes from here. It'll be exciting. Well, Callum, I appreciate going over everything with you. And thank you, my friend. And people remember this because I'll never be on camera looking this bad ever again until the day I die. But I was very determined not to have missed this broadcast, having missed the last 2 weeks. And I was up so late and had an emergency to handle, and I had to literally jump out of bed, put a hat on, and look like a wet rat here. So for the young, handsome Callum Sanderson, this is Colin Crandall looking this way, never again to be seen like this. And appreciate it. Great work. Great chatting with you, Callum. Great show.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you, too. And I guess I'll close it out for MMA London to LA. For Chris Allen, Callum Sanderson, I'm Colin Crandall. And hope you guys enjoy the fights.
Thank you.